Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Transformers? Oh yes. Hello. Welcome aboard the USS Can We Talk About podcast, a steamship of a certain age that takes a slow cruise directly into various icebergs that are a series of might and metal, and that is, of course, actual 80s cartoon classic, The Transformers. I helped save the Washington Monument. My name is Joe.
I'm just gonna a Lincoln right out of there. I'm Kristen. Also, Joe, are you talking maybe about a disaster boat?
It's been so long since we've talked about disaster boats.
And there's no boats in this episode.
We are watching Transformers Generation 1 via Tubi, which is a free streaming platform with intermittent commercials. Tubi, of course, has the broadcast order of Season 2 of Transformers, so you might have to shuffle around to find Atlantis Arise. It's not as deep as the Autobot run was, at least.
Yes, so that was a little bit easier than before.
And Kristen, across these various streaming platforms that we have available to us, have you been watching anything cool?
Joe, so me and my friends have been using the extension Netflix Party to watch stuff on Netflix together with voice chat.
Nice.
In order to keep ourselves sane during this time of quarantine. And I have convinced one of my friends to rewatch and two of my friends to watch it for the first time, Riverdale.
You're still on the Riverdale train, huh?
Joe, I have Riverdale dreams constantly, and I do not know why. I guess that means they're good at writing? No, that's not it.
The characters are sticking with you, I guess.
It's just so funny to me that my clown brain is always into it.
So here's the thing. Okay, so Riverdale, Archie Comics, of course. A serious AU.
Murder Glee.
Kristen, you know what else Archie Comics owns?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
The comic rights to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Did you expect me not to know that?
No. You see where I'm going with this here, Kristen. They also own Mega Man. Maybe that's more likely.
So, like, a gritty reboot of Sonic.
Yes, where Sonic it's an Equestria Girls version of Sonic where they're all human OCs.
Yes, and Shadow dates Betty.
Oh, wow. Here, I thought it was going to be Cream the Rabbit was going to make an appearance, but no, Betty.
Crossover. You have to make it that...
We're going to do one of those 90s backdoor pilots. So all the Riverdale gang goes over to Mobius High School.
Whoa!
And
looks like we're not in Kansas anymore.
So that's what they have to do. And then the Archie gang is in it for a very short amount of time, and it mostly focuses on the Sonic characters.
See, I was going to say as soon as the Archie gang gets there, a murder happens. Because that's Riverdale.
And then, yes, okay, so then Archie gets murdered, of course, and you lose your main character.
Good. He's the worst one anyway.
Kristen, are there any main characters you do like?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by like, I guess.
I edited out a very long pause there.
I mean, I don't really suffer from the delusion that any of them are well-written characters. I do enjoy their dumb bullshit. Betty does a lot of Nancy Drew shit on her own, where she wears Chelsea boots to a place that a serial killer, asks her to meet him. So, like, where's she gonna run in them boots? And just stuff like that is very funny to me. Cheryl Blossom is an absolute bitch, so I love her a lot. But she's not a well-written character. No one is.
Kristen, I don't know if you understood the question. Well, I meant not of Riverdale. I mean main characters in general.
Oh, ever,
because you don't like Optimus very much. You don't like Jerrica.
No, I'm sure there's something.
You don't like main. You don't like main human character Spike.
Are we talking only like cartoon TV shows?
Any main character across history, Kristen.
I'm sure there's something. I'll think about that as we go, and I'll let you know.
You like FemC, but she doesn't count.
No, she doesn't.
This week, we are getting myths and legends in our sci-fi, as well as sci-fi in our myths and legend, to create something not quite as delicious as a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. It is...
I don't know why I thought I would be able to make that reference before you.
I'm sorry, did you have something like that written down too, Kristen?
No, as soon as I heard you say getting myths and legend in our sci-fi, I was like, oh my god, like Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, as if we don't share the exact same brain cell.
What we get instead is actually all kind of salty and metal and fishy. It is Atlantis Arise, which I did make sure to point out last episode, Kristen, and I will note again, does have an exclamation point, so you gotta say it in a big old Brian Blessed voice.
Mm-hmm. You gotta be bombastic about it or it doesn't count.
And I guess it's time to get checking in on this underwater city, so let's go ahead and get that thing arisen.
You say, Atlantis Arise in the mirror 3 times, and then Douglas Booth comes out and kills you.
Atlantis Arise, written by Douglas Booth, truly the Beth Bornstein of Transformers, though of course that might be affording him too much credit because Beth Bornstein did write the fan.
Yes, so far, pretty much everything that Beth Bornstein wrote was a swing and a miss, except her home run. So far, we have not hit that same level of excellence with Douglas Booth, and he is running out of chances.
We start with a narration, Kristen, which the Transformers Wiki is so kind to point out, is entirely pointless, and it lasts about 4 seconds.
Just in case you were wondering, I'm still here. That was my impression of the narrator.
But we get another appearance of Buzzsaw here, Kristen.
I remembered who he was, like, name-wise.
The Laserbeak brothers here.
Yeah.
Even though that does not give... I mean, technically, I was going to say that doesn't give Buzzsaw any credit, but Mario Brothers doesn't necessarily give Luigi any credit.
There you go. It's Laserbeak, and Buzzsaw Laserbeak.
Soundwave and Megatron are watching as Buzzsaw and Laserbeak are just checking out some ocean waves here, and Megatron takes about 3 seconds before he's like, what the fuck are they looking for?
He is not happy with the Ocean Computer's performance so far. Joe, am I crazy, or was Soundwave, like, impossible to fucking understand in this episode?
I sort of heard him most of the time.
I usually always understand him perfectly, but I was like, I'm sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear you under your burr, 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 burr.
So Soundwave says something completely unintelligible here as a little map shows up on the screen that is just
Half
showing
of the screen.
For all Megatron knew, Kristen, the Ocean Computer was just showing the ocean. That's probably a screensaver.
Hang on, let me wake up my whole Windows 7 thing I have going here. He wiggles the mouse.
Buzzsaw and Laserbeak, as they're out on patrol over the ocean for some reason, like, why not just send one of them and the other one looks for Autobots or something?
They were lonely.
Laserbeak brothers gotta stick together!
Also, bad shit keeps happening to Laserbeak when he's out alone.
That's true. You are correct. They mention this as the deepest part of the Atlantic later, which is... But we will get there. Soundwave just finds an underwater city through the use of Buzzsaw and Laserbeak.
He seems to have been aware that it was going to be there when he looked, so... I don't know what kind of recon he was doing before this, but good for him.
Yeah, I don't know how far Buzzsaw and Laserbeak got before Soundwave was like, no, wait, go back, I gotta show Megatron.
Just do a circle really quick.
Megatron sees the I guess they got a cool map of the underwater city, too, because it appears on the Ocean Computer, and Megatron's
it's impossible to understand.
And Megatron's like, so we have an underwater base, and it uses a lot of energy, so they must have energy as well, and we're gonna take it, is, I'm guessing, the thought process that Megatron had.
Yeah, that's the logic the cartoon gives us, so we might as well not dwell on it.
Okay, so... First problem, again, it did not occur to me until this very moment because we don't hear that it's the middle of the Atlantic Ocean until later. Mm-hmm. The Decepticons flew across America.
Joe, I had a weird existential crisis this episode because now I have to ask myself, are we certain that the series takes place on the West Coast?
Kristen, it's way too fucking rocky and deserty to be like the Midwest.
I agree. But the cartoon doesn't seem to know what it's doing.
And they gotta be close to the ocean because the Decepticon underwater base.
Oh yeah, that they do repeatedly say that as the ocean. Man, I don't know, so... They fly real fast. What the fuck do you want from me, Joe?
Alright, so this is where transitions are important, I guess, because there's just a transition, and then suddenly, here we are. We're at the underwater base, pretty much.
We found it. Okay, let's go swimming now, which... Thankfully, animated looks exactly the same as us flying.
Yeah, not a lot of water physics in this episode.
No one's doing any butterfly strokes.
They've come upon the underwater city exactly 1 minute into the episode. There's absolutely no mystery about it. It's just, yep, there's Atlanteans, there's fishmen.
Cool, nice, let's keep it going, yeah.
Or the incredibly convoluted thing to say, sub-Atlanticans, which is thrown around quite a few times in this episode.
I don't know why they even bother calling the episode Arise Atlantis. Because I don't think they ever once refer to this place as Atlantis.
No, we find pretty quickly here after Starscream crashes directly into the like invulnerability dome that they have, which comes up a few times here, that this is Sub-Atlantica, and the king of which, Nergil, which for some reason I thought there was going to be like a... Not necessarily a Princess and the Singer situation of just like good royal family and weird usurper guy.
No, they're all evil. They're all evil Lovecraft fishmen.
And Soundwave is so kind to point out that he uses, like, telekinesis to speak, because obviously, well, the Transformers Spike doesn't have any problem speaking underwater in this episode, but fuck it.
No, he doesn't, and I don't know how far that snorkel is down his throat, but whatever.
But there are a bunch of big radial lines coming out of Nergil's head as well, just in case, you didn't understand that he was speaking telepathically.
It barely matters.
Maybe they thought he was making a force field like Trailbreaker.
We have to clarify.
Soundwave comments on how great the mental power is of this fishman here, and Starscream is like, well, it's not as great as my firepower! And then...
Starscream just gets his ass handed to him multiple times in this episode, which is pretty fun.
So much.
And he ends up being right later and still gets dunked on for it.
Starscream immediately gets blasted by Atlantean rifle fire here.
Which, of course, look like tridents.
Yes,
Duh.
Of course. I'm surprised that one of the big buildings in Subatlantica doesn't look like a giant trident.
I mean, we don't see that many shots of it. Maybe there's one buried in there. It's like a McDonald's arch, but upside down.
So, after the Atlanteans make very short work of Starscream here, Nergil gets all fucking big in his britches and is just like, all right, Decepticons, you gotta surrender or we're gonna destroy you. And then Megatron's like, okay, well, first of all, Starscream does not represent all of us, and I'm gonna cause a rock avalanche really quick.
He pew-pew blasts his gun behind them and buries them, probably kills the other two guys, and then unearth him to be like, okay, dipshit, I like your,
warlike spirit is the phrasing that he uses.
I was gonna say moxie.
You're a chutzpah.
Exactly.
The king tells his men to drop their guns in a scrambled message here, and
Joey,
Soundwave... Yes,
you know
please.
what the word moxie always makes me think of?
No, what?
The episode of Rugrats where Angelica pretends to be that mob boss's daughter.
I do not remember this at all. What the fuck?
She's at an Italian restaurant and she pretends to be the boss's daughter.
I kind of... Alright, so...
And he finds out at the end. I think this might be the same episode as Reptar on Ice.
You say Italian restaurant, I'm like, okay, well, there's only, like, probably one episode of Rugrats that takes place in an Italian restaurant, so I'm vaguely, like, I'm getting flashes of it, sort of.
What you're seeing is a red and white tablecloth. And at the end, the mob boss comes back, and he is angry at first, but he's like, hey, I like you, Moxie.
It's very odd. Moxie, I think of as an ability in Pokemon where you get +1 attack anytime you kill a Pokemon.
Of course you do.
The king tells his men to drop their guns here in a scrambled message, which is a bunch of, like, high-pitched, like, me, 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 like fucking, speaking like the fucking Herculoids here.
I swear to God, I could hear him going, like, drop your weapons.
It is just, like, a normal-sounding phrase sped up and kind of chopped a bit. So you can kind of make out what he's saying, but Soundwave is still so kind to point out that, oh, that message is scrambled.
If they just told me that it was fish language, I would have been like, okay.
Starscream, for some reason, has to, like, tell Soundwave, hey, can you unscramble that message for me? Like, you think Soundwave wouldn't already... Does Soundwave have any autonomy, Kristen?
Oh, wow, that's a heavy question to ask at this point. I sure dang hope so.
Soundwave really doesn't act on his own.
He just gets told stuff a lot.
Which is weird because he commands the cassettes, but, like, Rumble is definitely fully autonomous.
Is Rumble Soundwave's brain? That's unfortunate.
That would be awful.
Oh.
No wonder he speaks with a vocoder.
Yeah.
So essentially here, yes, Starscream tells Soundwave to unscramble those fucking scramby eggs, and...
The scramby egg sounds.
The scramby egg sounds, just in case those humanoid anchovies are plotting. The Decepticons are brought into Subatlantica here as the king says, oh, I just told my guards to leave, don't worry about it, and we get transition. This guy basically has an underwater Cybertron. That is what Subatlantica looks like inside, pretty much.
It looks like they are kind of... So you know how, like, natural occurring hot springs are a thing? It's like they're situated on one of those, except it's energy that's springing up.
Yeah, they built it on an underwater energy geyser, and I feel like, Kristen, I don't know if Douglas Booth lost the thread or something, but after Subatlantica, like, surfaces... Megatron doesn't really think about the energy anymore.
I guess he thinks he has enough already, which is very silly.
Which is very silly, yes.
He's like, no, we got it. Time to go take over Washington, D.C.
The only problem with Subatlantica is it has to be, stay directly on top of this energy source in order to use it. And Megatron says, standing directly behind Nergil, barely whispering here, that is where you shall remain long enough for me to take the source for myself.
And he forgets about it, so it's fine. Ba-da-da-da.
The ball is rolling here. Thanks to Energon Cubes, we find that Decepticon ingenuity here. So I guess they just, built Sub-Atlantica on top of a generator, so the energy geysers or whatever, they have no way to contain all this energy, so fucking energon cubes, there you go.
Yeah, in a nice compact, handy-dandy little pouch for you to take to school in your lunchbox.
And then, transition 4!
Oh!
And Kristen, we get the image of the episode that made me laugh when I see it, and I'm using it as the icon, which is Spike looking like he is 350 pounds in a bunch of fucking football gear.
Linebacker Spike.
Linebacker Spike here, with his number, of course, Kristen, on his football uniform is Spike.
So the reason I had to ask you, what episode are we watching again? Remind me, please, because I feel like I should have remembered Atlantis Arise. Pretty easy. Pretty stupid. You sent me this image, and I was just like, what the fuck? I guess I just assumed that the football was a part of the episode that lasted longer than the scene.
No, it was just, sometimes you see an image and you're like, gotta use that one.
Douglas Booth had a song in his heart singing football, and he had to get it down on paper.
Spike and a few Autobots are playing football here against the Dinobots. And
because they have a death wish.
Bumblebee complains once the play starts that he can't hold Grimlock back, mostly because Bumblebee is drawn at about 1/4 the size of Grimlock.
He's more like half Grimlock size, right?
He's not that small.
Okay. As long as we get that out of the way.
Spike somehow manages to avoid a giant metal T-Rex coming for him and tosses the old hand egg to Hound, who Kristen transforms into a Jeep as he's trying to run to catch the football, and catches the football in the passenger seat, which is not a catch nor a football move as defined by the rules of the National Football League.
I was going to say, is that not allowed in football? I don't follow the sport, so I don't know if Jeeps are allowed.
Well, Kristen, I would assume it's kind of like if a guy in baseball had like a car seat for a glove. I don't think that counts.
I would like to watch a baseball game like that, though.
He also crashes directly into Slag, which completely fucks up his momentum, and Slag doesn't move at all, Kristen.
He's like, Wheeljack runs on the scene. I like to imagine that he took off his striped coach shirt before doing that and threw his whistle down to be like, guys, Optimus needs us on the double. Come on.
And then Hound is holding a gigantic deflated football as he goes, humans actually do this for fun?
Yeah, they don't usually involve car crashes, though.
Transition 5 here, which I noted, Kristen, more transitions than minutes in the episode currently, so...
Tasty. Good.
Luckily, we get ahead of that, but Optimus relays that Teletran found a big energy surge in the middle of the ocean, and he needs volunteers to check it out. Now,
Joe, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Middle of the Atlantic, deepest point of the Atlantic Ocean, yes. So, Hound says that checking out the deepest points of the Atlantic Ocean, which will crush his body, no doubt, is probably safer than playing football with the Dinobots.
Dinobots are like, fine, asshole.
I mean, also, to be fair, doing most things with the Dinobots is probably a death sentence, no matter what.
That's true. I don't see anything really going well as a group activity with them.
Tea time with the Dinobots could be catastrophic, Kristen.
Just boiling tea everywhere. Smashed porcelain everywhere.
Bumblebee, Wheeljack, Hound, and Brawn all decide to go, which, Kristen, I noted was a little disappointing because this is a pretty solid... Why am I disappointed that good characters are going? I'm not sure. But,
I'm not sure either. We get a decent amount of Wheeljack this episode and a decent amount of Grimlock this episode. So, hey... Man, this episode could have been way worse, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Oh, and of course Spike is going too, because he needs to go directly to the ocean.
When his dad's not around to stop him, he's like, I'm coming too.
We get transition 6 here, which again, Kristen, we will toss the logistics aside.
They cut out all the time of them driving.
Yes.
Across the entire country.
Roxy drove to Philadelphia in a straight shot. The Autobots drove to near Washington, D.C. in a straight shot.
Offshore Washington, D.C.
And then, Kristen, they just decide to just drive underwater.
So you say no use of hydrofoils or anything.
They do later.
Okay, I couldn't remember if that was a thing that you could tell by looking at them, because at this point, again, Joe, I'm just like, they've done it before, I don't give a shit.
And you see, I have the revelation in my notes here, Kristen, where I wrote, who knew the deepest part of the Atlantic? And then a few ellipses. Wait, the Atlantic? They drove across America?
Yes, they did. It's always fun. You're watching an episode of Transformers, and at some point you're like, wait a minute!
Not only that, they find Sub-Atlantica almost immediately, which the Transformers wiki...
Apparently wasn't that deep, jeez.
Yeah, the Transformers wiki notes that with, like, the light, the amount of light that can still come through, that Sub-Atlantica is probably 25 feet underwater.
So maybe Optimus doesn't actually know how deep the ocean goes.
The Atlanteans start firing on the Autobots here, and this, of course, alerts Soundwave, so the jets come out, and the jets, Kristen, are able to just fly underwater.
Yeah.
I mean, we noted this, I think, before, but it bears repeating that jets, cars, they are fine. At one point, Braun picks up a trident gun from a discarded Atlantean guy and throws it like a javelin, which no water displacement or anything, he fucking sends that thing out like it's a fucking torpedo. And
once you get that deep in the ocean, man, it's just like Earth gravity again, right?
Whatever. Everyone runs off to a cave here as Wheeljack tries to draw the fire from the Atlanteans and the jets. And for some reason, Kristen, once they get to the cave here, Braun is like, all right, Wheeljack, come on. And Wheeljack goes,
it's too late for me. I'd rather die.
I don't want to hang out with you guys anymore. Ba-bam, bam.
And he gives them an underwater grave. He says, I can't follow you, but then no one else can.
Yeah, he fires his shoulder missile at the cave, which causes it to cave in, which, next time we see Braun and Bumblebee and the rest of the gang, they're fine. Mm-hmm. And, I guess that cave just let out. And I realize, because we're kind of skimming over things here quickly, Kristen, one thing that I forgot to mention, of course, Spike is fine. Yes. One Spike is fine. That is, note one, Spike is fine. 2, Spike is wearing a Speedo.
So he took all of his clothes off when he was inside Bumblebee, which I don't like.
I don't like that either.
Why couldn't they just draw him in, like, some long shorts?
Why couldn't they draw him in a fucking scuba outfit?
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. He doesn't have any, like, feet fins or anything. He's just he's swimming on his own fucking power.
In a Speedo.
In a Speedo!
And we see this a couple of times.
In the Atlantic Ocean!
It's fine. It's not cold or anything. Multiple times in this episode, we get a shot that I'm like, there's a thin layer of spandex between my eyes and this little boy's taint.
So, Megatron and all the Atlanteans and the rest of the Decepticons all have their guns pointed at Megatron here and says that this gallant action will cost him his life. But Nergil here, King of the Atlanteans, I forget if we mentioned his name, Nergil.
You did.
Really nerdy sounding name, by the way. Yeah.
Nergil.
He's just like, oh, no. I need an Italian robot prisoner. So he's going right to Sub-Atlantica.
And Megatron's like, yeah, okay, sure. And then he sends another scramble message. And Megatron's like, wait a minute.
You're making scrambled eggs in the ocean? What's going on with that?
So what was that you said? And he's like, oh, no, it's just, I'm telling my guards to watch the prisoner.
Starscream is very suspicious of this, of course. And Soundwave then rewinds one of his cassettes, we'll say Rumble, to replay the message here. And what is replayed is not the scrambled message that Nergil said, like, played at a normal speed. It's close. Close-ish. It's essentially Nergil is planning a double cross here. He is going to make a weapon from Wheeljack that will be used to destroy the Autobots and then used to destroy the Decepticons.
I know I shouldn't even ask this, but I would love to know what Nergil has experienced that would lead him to believe that the Decepticons have absolutely no way of decoding his scrambled messages. They are fucking robots.
They're fucking fishmen, Kristen. He's probably never seen a robot in his life.
He's taking it very well.
Atlantis arises.
Whoa.
The rest of the Autobots surface here, and this is where we see the hydrofoils for like a very short amount of time because they're gone as soon as segment 2 starts, because it's now the end of segment 1, as Sub-Atlantica is a giant fucking technodrome basically firing lasers everywhere at the escaping Autobots.
Yeah, whatever.
Segment 2 starts here, resuming the laser action, and we get another surf's up joke here as everybody sort of crashes into the beach.
So they're having a great time, which is very nice. It turns out Sub-Atlantica is surfacing, and then that whole group is heading right to Washington, D.C.
They decide, fuck the Autobots, we don't need to see any more of them, even though they can, call for backup or anything like that, but...
Yeah, it's fine.
Fuck it, we're just gonna go to Washington, D.C., I guess.
That's the first place that we're gonna conquer in order to get to conquer and everything else.
Hey, Kristen, today, Davenport, Iowa, tomorrow, the world.
Today, F-City-F Prefecture. Tomorrow, Japan.
Megatron wants to get an advanced party out there, so he says, onward to Washington, D.C., as the Decepticons fly off here. And I had to check really quick, Kristen, because I saw Starscream in this shot. And I thought he flew away with everyone else, because then in the very next shot, when Nergil is walking away and doing his old, yes, Decepticons, go to Washington, D.C., so I can destroy you later, and I'm going to make my intentions known to literally everyone. Starscream kind of is, snooping around, like,
He's
what's that?
Peeking from around the corner, like, what the fuck?
But as it turns out, Starscream doesn't fly away, which you'd think Nergil would have noticed.
He's like, how many jets are there? It doesn't matter. Even though he knows Thundercracker by name later, whatever.
Transition 8. Optimus is on the way here, reminding everyone else that he brought along with him here, which I think is just like So people that don't get lines,
I
it doesn't
wasn't paying
matter.
attention. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Reminding everyone that, we're going to be dealing with sub-Atlanticans as well as Decepticons here. Why don't they just say fishmen, Kristen?
Because that's racist, Joe.
They want to give the proper respect to their enemies, I guess.
So I guess maybe the sub-Atlanticans were possibly going to be like a spin-off toy line.
Oh, ho, ho.
Got their own cool name and everything.
They've got a very Masters of the Universe vibe to them, I will say
fucking
that.
hate them. I'm not a fan of fishmen. I find them gross.
Spike and Bumblebee are sent out to rescue Wheeljack here, and Brawn says, hey, you better come back without a broken ass!
Wow.
You better come back with your chassis in one piece, of course. Chaos in the city is seen for a little bit here, as the Decepticons just waste no time. Them and the Atlanteans have... Kristen, writing Sub-Atlantica a bunch of times is shitty, and I don't want to do it, so I started writing Atlanteans, and then eventually I just started writing Fishmen.
I guess that's fair.
They build a thing in the middle of the street that is a dome of invulnerability, which, again, we saw at Sub-Atlantica previously. They're just... This is how they plan to I mean, it's not a bad plan to conquer Washington, D.C. Just keep all of the shit that can stop you out.
It's also named incorrectly, but whatever. One of the Atlantean guards is like, I only take orders from blah, blah, whatever his name is.
From that guy.
From that guy. Sub-Gil, whatever.
Fish dude.
Fishman. You know, that guy. Nurgle! Oh my god, it was right there in your notes. I didn't see it. This is a pointless exchange because then Megatron goes, he's not here, I am, obey me. And then he turns the thing on. And it ends up being fine because it turns out Nurgle has a way to get in later. So, like, I don't know why they had this little argument here.
Hey, Krista, we gotta sow discontent between the Atlanteans and the Decepticons.
They fucking hate each other.
So the Dome of Invulnerability has turned on here, and we get Kristen. Washington, D.C. is mine!
So that's pretty cool.
And, of course, Optimus and company arrive at this point. They were apparently within the realm, the range,
They
whatever.
drove in the invulnerability dome before it actually finished.
They were under the umbrella here, and we get a robot fight.
And they find the Decepticons super fast. There's like one change to a different perspective, and they're like, oh, hey!
Literally, as soon as Megatron says Washington, D.C. is mine, Optimus and company are there like, hey!
No, it's not. Cut that out.
So we get a robot plus Atlantean fight here, a special bonus Atlantean edition.
Yeah, I don't care.
As Hound notes Kristen, oh, you better be careful of your fire. You don't want to destroy any of the monuments here. They're just in the fucking National Mall, pretty much.
By any of the monuments, he means the Washington Monument. We only see 2 monuments. There's more than that.
I think we see the Capitol building later, but it's mostly
we see some white columns later. That could be anything.
It's mostly the Washington Monument, yes.
Yes.
The way that Hound says it is also very weird because he goes, we gotta be careful of the history, and then shoots Laserbeak and says, and Laserbeak's history!
No!
So you do want to shoot them or what?
This is what I was talking about when I said that Laserbeak gets like the shit end of the stick all the time.
Yeah, like, Buzzsaw was also out, I'm pretty sure, at this point, so...
They just hate Laserbeak in particular, the same way they hate Rumble in particular.
Spike and Bumblebee are outside of the dome to Sub-Atlantica at this point, which they need to get into to get to Wheeljack, but Kristen, for some reason... Now, maybe it's because they were on the ocean floor, but the Dome of Invulnerability is not egg-shaped. It is half-egg-shaped.
Yeah, like the dome over the flat Earth.
Much like...
The dome over the flat Earth. It's the Truman Show model.
The force field that Trailbreaker was using in the Immobilizer that Starscream was just able to fly over.
This only becomes even a slight problem later, which, because at first at this point I'm thinking, why the fuck is that thing even up if it's not going to do anything? But we get to see the Dinobots destroy it in a little bit. So they do swim under it, and then just kind of pop up into the Sub-Atlantica base.
Yeah, the hole in the bottom of Sub-Atlantica that they just never built a floor on, I guess.
We didn't even mention the stupid masks that the Sub-Atlanticans are wearing.
Well, Kristen, because they're fishmen, of course, they gotta breathe water and not oxygen, so they wear little metal half masks, even though, when we see Nurgle in this very next scene, which, because Spike and Bumblebee were able to get up to, like, an area of air, it means, because it's surfaced, Nurgle probably can't breathe?
Huh? What? You're fucking kidding me, Joe.
But he's not wearing the mask.
I hate that I have this, but in my brain, cartoon logic is like, yeah, sure, they probably have, like, environments where they can breathe just fine. But in that case, how the fucking Spike breathe? It doesn't work one way or the other.
We see Nurgle here. Let's just move right away from that.
Yeah, whatever.
We see Nurgle here. He is immobilizing Wheeljack, but not that kind of immobilizing.
Why would they even use the word immobilize?
I mean, to be fair, Kristen, the way that these episodes are kind of stretched out here, Atlantis Arise was probably about 10 episodes removed from the immobilizer instead of 2.
Ugh. Wheeljack's just laying there like, no, not the Wheeljack immobilizer.
Starscream arrives here, and he's like, I want that immobilization ray. Thank you. Please, give it to me, please.
Pew!
And he gets blasted instead. So again, Starscream is ask questions, shoot later, when he should probably just fire his fucking null ray at everything.
Whole episode. He should have just splatted that fish man. So he stumbles a little bit before he gets falls over. And Nurgle remarks that apparently it doesn't work as well on Decepticons.
Kristen.
Apparently it like messes up the magnety parts that their like sense of justice is associated with or something.
Cartoon logic. Whatever.
It knows Starscream's a dick. And it's like, I can't do anything with this.
Kristen, it occurs to me now, is this immobilization ray different than Starscream's null rays?
It seems to be a thing saying it like magnet fucks them up.
Yes, when we don't really know the science between the null ray, it just stops them.
Yeah, the null ray is magic piss, Joe. We know this.
Despite being fired on by this immobilization ray, Starscream kind of just, he acts drunk almost. Like, he can't stand up straight.
Fuck you. I'm not drunk.
Starscream, after Nurgle leaves here, flips Wheeljack onto his back and puts some sort of, like, hose thing.
Joe, I swear to God, I thought he was going to try and wake him up so that he could get some help at least, but he is just on the ground, and he's like, you know what, while I'm down here, I'm going to kill this motherfucker.
Yeah, Bumblebee comes in as soon as this starts happening. He's like, wait a minute, that's going to kill Wheeljack.
I thought Starscream's going to be like, no, for once you're wrong, that's not what I'm doing, but he's like, fuck yeah, I am.
I kill Autobots for a living. Meh! Bumblebee rushes in here and, like, tackles Starscream into a thing in the middle of the room. And Bumblebee's reaction is he does his best, did I do that?
Wow. Great job, Urkelby.
Apparently he's not able to see all the fucking crazy magnetic shit all around Starscream here from being under the effects of this ray. And also the fact that he's fucking stumbling around like an asshole.
Mm-hmm, which is apparently temporary because Starscream just shows up later and he's chill.
Spike commends Bumblebee for the work that he did. Like, yeah, you did it. We gotta get Wheeljack out of here. Let's go.
So they get wrist deep into Wheeljack's chest and they turn him back on or whatever.
And Wheeljack goes, we gotta warn Optimus about the thing. The thing.
And they decide not to do this until it's, already been shot at several people, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, this thing! Yeah, we know.
So we get a transition here. Nurgle casually walks into the force field, like it opens a little door for him, which Bumblebee, Spike, and Wheeljack also managed to sneak behind him through.
You're right behind him. Literally, like, you would hear them going...
We go back to the robot fight in progress here. Brawn lassos himself a jet here. He gets a weird lasso thing around Thundercracker, but Nurgle arrives, and is this where he refers to Thundercracker by name because Thundercracker ends up crashing, and it's like, oh no, don't worry, Thundercracker, I got you back.
It's something like that. It's just completely unnecessary dialogue at some point in the story that makes no difference.
Despite Wheeljack saying that they needed to warn Optimus, Prowl, Brawn, and Hound all get shot with the immobilizing ray, and they can't move.
So Megatron is like, nice, thanks for your help. Today, Washington, D.C., tomorrow, the entire planet Earth.
F-City F Prefecture.
F-City F Prefecture.
Wheeljack says, again, we need to warn Optimus. And segment 2 ends with Wheeljack going, Optimus, Nurgle can destroy us all. You gotta stop him. He doesn't mention the immobilization ray or anything.
And Optimus is just like laying cheek down on the ground like, thanks.
Segment 3 starts here, Kristen. Wheeljack is making a cross-country call to the Dinobots here, a literal SOS Dinobots.
Yeah, that's fun. Grimlock is like, okay, you only need help because you're not good enough. We come clean up your mess.
Kristen, 90% of Grimlock's dialogue in this episode is him going, God, all I do is save your ass. What the fuck?
I am loving the amount of dialogue Grimlock got in this episode. It is maybe the most he's ever spoken. And I just love listening to him talk.
The clearest he's ever spoken.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Transition 12 here. The Atlanteans are fucking around in the Capitol building. Here we are. And one complains to Nergil that the Decepticons suck and are assholes. And we get from Nergil, "Patience! We shall soon give them their just deserts."
So Megatron is just waltzing up to the Lincoln Memorial, and he Abe Lincoln out of his seat.
No sound of, like, stone or anything crumbling, and he just fucking yeets him right off the throne, and
like he's made out of styrofoam, and
like
he's not attached to the chair.
And he takes it for himself, and he's just like, yeah, this is a pretty good throne.
So now we have an idea of what the cartoon thinks the scale of Megatron is, because we've seen the Lincoln Memorial. It's pretty big.
Lincoln's a big dude.
Yeah. Are you just saying Megatron's as big as real Lincoln? Is that statue as big as real Lincoln? Holy shit.
Kristen, it's now that I would like to note the pinball game Revenge from Mars in 3D, where one of the missions is the Lincoln Memorial turns into a giant robot to fight a big alien.
You know what? That does sound familiar.
So Thundercracker comes up here, and he plays the part of Fishman, saying that the Atlanteans suck and are assholes, and we get almost the same line of dialogue from Megatron that Nergil just gave.
He's like, "Patience, we shall soon put them in their proper place at the bottom of the sea." Joe, is now a good time for me to ask why the Sub-Atlanticans even want to be on land?
Kristen, they are just evil and want to take over.
Because I was thinking, like, say there was some kind of bird kingdom up in the sky. If I got up there, would I be like, "This is mine now. I don't really want to live up here, nor is it sustainable for me to live up here, but I do like it, so I'll be staying."
They have the technology to surface, at least, which means that they've at least thought about this.
They love wearing those stupid masks 24/7.
Like that's the thing. Like, it wasn't like they serviced them like, "Wait, oxygen, fuck! Oh god, we gotta get back down!"
Every once in a while before this, they came up to the surface just to prank people on the beach. I'm a fish man. Look at them run.
Their old cousin, the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, exactly.
The Dinobots arrive here, and Grimlock even says, "We are here."
You are! Good boy.
Grimlock orders transform and destroy. I think Douglas Booth was trying to do a thing with the Dinobots here, because Grimlock calls transform and destroy twice in this episode.
Yes. So I really can't stop thinking about how much I like there just being Autobots who are not exactly like all of the other Autobots. Just some variety. It helps, of course, that they're assholes, because I love assholes. But at the same time, just having, like, a second, these free agents over here. Because, you know, it's the sort of thing with the Insecticons. They're just also like the Decepticons. They're really not that different. They're just more Decepticons. The Dinobots seem to have their own agenda. Like, it looked like before they left the Ark, they were thinking to themselves, "Okay, do we want to go home? Okay, let's go."
That is actually, you raise a very good point, Kristen, because the Dinobots are ostensibly the Shadow the Hedgehog of the gang.
That's why I like them so much. Ooh, so that means Grimlock is going to date Betty.
Bringing it back around! Hey!
That's called a callback.
So, Kristen, somehow the Dinobots shatter the dome of invulnerability here like glass.
Grimlock just crunches it up.
They get in to start saving the Autobots here. Grimlock again snarks like, "Okay, hey, here I am to save your ass, stupid."
Megatron is like, "Oh, don't worry, I got this." And he, like, calls out Grimlock and starts shooting at him. Grimlock just keeps advancing toward him, getting shot. It does not slow him down. And I don't know why Megatron ever thought that would work.
And then they start wrestling with one another. Like, Grimlock doesn't even do the courtesy of killing Megatron immediately. He's like, "No, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a little bit of a chance."
So they wrestle a bit.
Nergil arrives, trying to get a clean shot on Megatron, but they're both gray. So he's like, "Which one do I shoot?"
No, he's trying to get a clean shot on Grimlock.
Oh, excuse me, you're right. There's a little Freudian slip there. No, come on, I'm an ally of the Decepticons, of course.
He does start to maybe seem like, I don't really care if I hit them both. And Starscream's like, "You dick!"
Yeah, as soon as Nergil makes the decision, you know what, it would probably be better, like, if we end up immobilizing Megatron, that's fine. At least Grimlock will be immobilized.
Do we have any proof whatsoever the immobilizer, ray, magnetic
will stop Grimlock?
Will stop any of the Dinobots?
Very true. We don't get to see because Starscream is like, "No, Nergil's a traitor!" And he kicks him.
You asshole.
So Starscream, like, snatches the gun from Nergil here, but Wheeljack and Bumblebee clobber the shit out of him, which has it fly out of Starscream's hand. Starscream can't hold on to anything for too long, I've noticed.
He's got slippery fingers.
Grimlock catches it immediately, touchdown, and...
touchdown, Grimlock.
And breaks the gun immediately, which, Kristen, like any good Sentai villain plot, as soon as the thing that's causing the problem is broken, everybody else is fine.
He cracks it over his knee and yells, "Goal!" And a home run also for Grimlock.
Megatron chides Starscream for fucking everything up because he's like, look what happened! Everybody's fine now!
And so them and all the fishmen are like, okay, maybe not now.
In order to distract the Autobots as they escape here, Megatron kicks the Washington Monument with enough force to break the... with enough force to like crack the base of it, to which I wrote, Kristen, oh no, the Misfits are up there!
Joe, I noticed the animation error in this episode.
Oh, please.
So we get a shot of Optimus and I think Ratchet? I don't remember. Another Autobot watching from a distance as the Washington Monument starts to fall down. And Optimus is like, no! So he runs toward it. And it shows that same shot of where they were both looking at it as he runs toward it, except they animated the person who is further away, and Optimus is still up close in the frame too. So he's watching himself run to the Washington Monument. I went back and watched it again to make sure that's what I saw, and yep.
Don't even worry about the fact that Optimus catching the Washington Monument doesn't necessarily completely stop its momentum and will still probably, crack near the top instead now because there's still all that kind of fucking force coming down on it.
The Titanic snapped in half, Joe.
Grimlock then comes up here because Optimus can't quite get all of it, and
he's like, haha, puny Optimus Prime.
Look at me, saving American history. Fuck, I'm just saving everybody these days.
So, is Grimlock gonna get a Presidential Medal of Honor, or...?
Well, he didn't save the president, Kristen. He didn't stop the Washington Marauder is the name of that character.
Did he not save the spirit of George Washington himself?
Boy, Kristen, wouldn't the presidential dilemma be different if Jem were Grimlock?
Yeah, it would be so much better. They would just eat the Washington Marauder at the end.
So, Kristen, Optimus does something surprising here, and thanks the Dinobots for their help.
He still acts like he's surprised that they helped. He's like, well, you guys have been surprisingly useful. It's like, shut up, dude, just say thank you. You don't have to be a dick about it.
Apparently the fire breath from slag is enough to fix whatever the Washington Monument is made out of too.
Stone or marble or something, I don't know. They don't let you get close to it anymore.
Oh, also there's a very quick shot of the Autobots returning Abe Lincoln to the chair.
And you mean very quick. There's literally a but.
4 frames.
And don't worry, Mr. Lincoln is back.
Ba-na-na-na.
All right, history preserved. Let's continue with the plot.
Subatlantica is headed back out towards the ocean here.
We're fucking out of here.
And Megatron wants an explanation. Hey, Nergil, why were you gonna fire on me? And Nergil just goes, my response must wait. Because the Autobots are...
That's basically saying, I can't tell you that I'm a traitor yet. We have more important things to do.
It doesn't matter either. It's not like the Decepticons go, we gotta kill the Subatlanticans now. So
the Autobots catch up, and we get an ocean fight.
Optimus was nice enough to carry the Dinobots in his trailer, because apparently they can't swim.
That I believe.
Time for the Dinobots to get prehistoric, as we get Transform and Destroy again here, and literally just the example I have written down here, Swoop just flies directly into shit.
So they go about their business completely eliminating this other species culture. Like dinosaurs.
Nergil taking the Dinobots seriously as a threat is just like, fuck this, I'm just gonna blow everything up.
Wow, that's a pretty extreme reaction.
Well, Kristen, alright, so the Dinobots are coming at you. You are in a tank with 1 shell and a gun with 1 bullet. What is your...
I guess I kill myself. Is there no chance that if I ask Grimlock to be my boyfriend, he'll be fine? You Grimlock's so strong. Take me as wife?
The group of Bumblebee, Wheeljack, and Spike are close enough that they are able to hear Nergil say, I'm gonna blow everything up, and oh fuck, we gotta stop.
Wait, does Nergil psychic this into their fucking heads? He doesn't speak out loud.
His mouth is animated to move, so that's what, fuck it. And then we get the train here as Soundwave sees the Autobots chasing after Nergil and is like, I better get Rumble and Ravage out of here. They gotta do something about this.
Rumble's a fucking hero this episode, and no one says thank you to him.
The Autobots confront Nergil, but all he needs to do is throw a single switch to blow everything to Kingdom Come.
Well, okay, what does throw a single switch mean? Are they saying I need, a switch like a metal tree branch? And he needs to throw it into a pit? That's not what throw a switch means.
The way that this is animated is he drops a thing into what looks like a pool of energon, essentially.
Yes.
That's not a switch, but
No.
that's what he says.
Maybe he's speaking in metaphor.
Rumble then strolls in to hear all of this,
He's like, shit, Starscream was right.
like, wait a minute, explode, what the fuck?
I don't want that, so he rumble. And Muriel falls. It doesn't really matter that much because he's a fast little guy, it turns out.
He's a skittery little dude because Wheeljack can't catch him after he falls down off this thing, and he just goes and drops the thing into the pool of Energon anyway.
So Rumble tried to help, but it turns out it didn't matter.
All the Transformers get the fuck out of there, but Optimus goes back in to save Bumblebee, Spike, and Wheeljack, who are still in this air. Rumble and Ravage are fine. We don't see them for after Rumble pile driver shit, I don't think we see them for the rest of the episode.
I mean, based on our previous experiences with the cassettes, maybe they just exploded and fell to the bottom of the ocean. We really don't know.
I mean, Soundwave might just have a bunch of Rumbles. Who knows?
Oh, that's so sad.
Laserbeak is still trapped in that cave from so long ago.
Is that why they're all so stupid? Rumble is very stupid. Laserbeak and Ravage can't speak. It's because they're divided up into the brains of multiple different cassettes.
So to Optimus' surprise, Grimlock is here to help, but
Shut up!
Grimlock makes the note, like, buddy, I've been saving Autobots my entire fucking life today. Let's go.
So shut up. Everyone manages to get out, even though it seemed like it was supposed to explode the entirety of Sub-Atlantica, like, imminently.
Yeah, like, instantly.
Imminently means, we got, like, a minute and a half.
Like, a second, even, yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
So, doesn't matter. Everyone manages to get out in time. And Wheeljack
except Nergal.
we get...
So he got his wish.
We get Italian warrior poet scientist Wheeljack here going, Sub-Atlantica now joins Atlantis in the midst of legend.
Wow. Bravo.
Spike notes, wow, Nergal's gone.
Optimus is like, yeah, he's probably fucking dead as hell. So that's good.
Boy, if only it were the Decepticons in there, and the episode ends. That's it.
Yeah, but we'll still have to fight the Decepticons. Okay, the episode's over.
So, Kristen, that was Atlantis Arise, and we did not get very much information on the Sub-Atlanticans. This is a cartoon. It's 20 minutes. This is the only time we're going to see them. We don't have time to, like, talk about the logic of the Sub-Atlanticans or anything, or, like, if there's more Sub-Atlanticans.
Normally, if you look at this realistically, the discovery of Sub-Atlantica is kind of maybe the biggest thing to ever happen in everyone's lifetime currently. And they just destroy that.
Yeah, now, Kristen, considering this siege of Washington, D.C. took, like, an hour, if that, do you think that there's going to be some kind of thing like, we were attacked by fishmen, and some psychiatrist is like, no, it didn't happen that way. Look, I know you're trying to process this in certain ways, but there's no such thing as fishmen, I'm sorry.
So do you think maybe because DC was involved, so like, ooh, government conspiracy, that was actually underwater Area 51, and they're like, there aren't any fishmen. There were never any fishmen.
I'm not going to say that they're going to try to cover it up, but it's not like there was some kind of broadcast that all of America saw with Nergal and the rest of the fishmen, as far as we know.
It's, trauma manifests in very strange ways. There were no fucking fishmen. And the Men in Black come after them. But like the PC ones, not like Will Smith.
Now's the point in the evening. We'll list off all of the fun contact things. Where you can reach us, you can follow us on the Twitter machine at cwtapod. You can follow me at Octopus, which is AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me at Marina Kazam.
And you can find us on the Apple Podcasts, on the SoundCloud, on the Stitcher Radio, on the YouTube even. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. You can also drop us a line, cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us all about prevailing theories on super advanced fishmen, because the truth is out there!
No. You're crazy, Mulder.
As well as any scrambly messages that you can send to your burly fish guards.
And check out my solo podcast side project, ASMR Relationships, the podcast equivalent of listening to gossip that has nothing to do with you. You can find a link to it in the episode notes. Follow it on Twitter at Reddit Gossip. I'd appreciate if you gave it a listen.
Next time, Kristen, we have another episode that is something of a vague title. It is Day of the Machines.
That sounds really exciting. Isn't that every day?
You'll see, Kristen. I did
immediately after that.
Isn't every episode of Transformers a Day of the Machines?
That's that one brain cell we share.
For the Can We Talk About podcast, my name is Joe.
I'm Kristen.
And join us next time when there will be apparently an official holiday made for machines.
Banks are closed, so checks not in the mail quite yet.